this is my YouTube channel, Paul1962. Welcome back. So this is going to be a sort of mid-month update. I spoke to Clive yesterday on the phone. He's the mechanic that likes watching my videos and wanted to meet up. We really got on well together, so and he's interested in making videos, which I think is going to be brilliant because it will give us the opportunity to bring lots of new content, get back into the hands-on mechanical videos for you. We both shared a lot in common, really. We had a good old chat, and that's what's really made me decide to do this video. I thought I'd share a little bit about myself and how I ended up where I am today. Of course, when I say where I am today, I mean how I came to be involved in cars in the way I am. One of the things that Clive said he liked about my videos was the fact that sometimes I said, like, I'm not sure about something, or I've got to find out about something. And he said it was nice that you were sort of honest, that you don't know everything. And I guess the channel never really was meant to be like a technical channel on Porsche or on the Porsche Boxster. It was just meant to be a fun channel about nice cars, fast cars, and going nice places in them. But it kind of evolved and it kind of followed its own route. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit of my background and how I come to do the things I do and work out the things I work out and that kind of stuff. Well, essentially I come from an engineering background. My father was a mechanical engineer amongst other things. He was what I call an old school engineer. He had a lot of qualifications under his belt, could turn his hands to most things. So obviously as a child I used to spend a lot of time helping him maintain his own car, and that's where I initially picked up a lot of the sort of things that I knew. So I guess it was kind of in the blood, and that's probably where I learnt that kind of natural hands-on feel that you need when you're working on cars. So then from there, of course, it progressed to when I learnt to drive and got a car of my own. Well, in them days I wasn't particularly well off, still aren't to be honest, but so my first car was pretty much a pile of crap. And I had to keep it going, so you had to get out there and fix it. And again, my dad sort of helped me fix it, showed me how to do the bits and pieces on it, showed me how to do basic body work to keep the car going. I did some basic car mechanics in kind of a link course with a college when I was at school, and I think that was one of many things that my father said to me that's always stuck with me. When an engine or a gearbox or a car component is sat on a bench and all nice and clean and the bolts have all been done up and undone several hundred times and come out nice and easily, it's not motor engineering. He said a true motor engineer is the one that can get the bolts out that are knackered, the heads are worn off, they're rusted in. He said that's where you meet real mechanics. That's what motor mechanics is all about, getting nuts and bolts undone that don't want to come out. That's where the skill lies. And I think that's one of the things that's always stuck with me for a very long time. The other thing was he was ex-army as well, so it was very much a case of when you did a job you cleaned it and you gave it a coat of paint afterwards, because a lot of people wrongly judge a job on what it looks like, but you know, to some degree that is important, I guess. Yeah, my dad taught me to do sheet metal work, welding, fabrication, that sort of thing, and how to use sort of plastic body fillers, even lead actually, but that was far too much hard work. To a very good level actually. Another one of the things that he always used to say to me: get the metal work as good as you can, so you have to use the absolute minimum amount of filler. Always something else that always stuck in my mind. But the paint work was only really with spray cans at that time, which soon became very relevant that that wasn't going to do the job. So I taught myself to paint with a spray gun. And my first spray gun was like one of these plug-in electric things, you know. It's more designed for painting sheds and things. But yeah, it worked. It did the job. I mean, the first few attempts were absolutely horrendous. But then I learned another new skill. I learned that you can do a hell of a lot with paint once it's on the car. And yeah, it was again became relevant that it wasn't just working with the paint on the car to correct the mistakes that I made. It was a case of you actually did that to get a better quality paint job. I'm intend to do a video one day on how to tell a mega expensive paint job from kind of a standard paint job. When I say that, I'm talking about the difference between a £10,000 paint job and a £45,000 paint job. And there is a difference, there really is. But that's a story. That's a story for another day. So yeah, that's what I did. I started looking after my own car, sorted them out mechanically, sorted them out body-wise. Another thing that Father pointed out to me is that things can be improved on. That's how things evolve. That's how cars evolve, you know. Sometimes the designers don't always do things in the best way, and you can improve them. I later in life came to learn that we call modification, and that's another area in its own right. And that really was the next kind of step for me. My friends and colleagues sort of became aware that I was good at repairing cars and fixing cars and doing a bit of body work, but they didn't want the same things. I mean, I was just doing the cars up and then selling it, buying something newer that was in rough condition again, and then start the whole process again. But my friends, they wanted their cars to look like Porsche models, and they wanted them to go faster, and you know, they wanted all these sort of boy racer, I'll call them boy racer modifications, which is not really fair on boy racers, to be honest. But they wanted all these fancy modifications and things added to the cars. So that's how I kind of got into that area, and that's how I really became interested in performance and prestige cars, I suppose. And it carried on like that, really. I you know, self-taught stuff. I learned myself, and you just keep evolving and you learn more and more bits. Wiring was another thing that my father taught me. So from there, it kind of then went into classic cars, because what started to happen was people would start to come to me with the sort of jobs that garages didn't really want to touch. Garages wanted bread and butter work, so to speak. They didn't want anything that was awkward, complicated, out of the usual. Especially in the old days. I mean, nowadays there are a lot more car companies, car garages out there that will do modified work and do custom work. But back in sort of the 80s, it just wasn't done. No one was interested in it. So you'd start to get people come with sort of older classic cars that had problems that they couldn't get round. They couldn't find people that wanted to take the work on, or they wanted to take the work on at absolutely silly amounts of money. So I kind of started doing a bit of classic car restoration as well. And then I was actually given a Mark 1 3-litre Capri because front wheel bearing had seized up on it. And the guy said to me, if you can get it home, you can have it. So I went and changed the wheel bearing at the side of the road. Well, in actual fact, I changed the complete suspension leg because the wheel bearing was so seized up that the whole thing was completely knackered. And I went through 5 Mark 1 3-litre Capris in all over the years, and got into that. So that's kind of how I got to being involved in cars and that. But because I always tended to do older cars, I didn't really keep up with all these modern electronics and engine management systems. I understand how the system works. It's basically a computer monitors what the engine's doing constantly, and it constantly readjusts all of the parameters that in the old days you had to adjust manually by hand. You know, because you couldn't adjust them while you were going along because you were sitting in the car driving it. Though there were occasions that I've sat on the inner wing of a car with no bonnet and adjusted bits and pieces while my colleague was driving along, but that's another story for another day. And I wouldn't advise anyone doing that, really. Did some daft things when I was younger. Always sort of dreamed of having prestige and top marquee type cars, but you know, it was always a dream. And then the Porsche come up in the same old way as all my cars come up. It had been run into the ground. It was a complete running. It was a running wreck, so it was running, but it only just, to be perfectly honest. And it was at a price I could afford, so I took it on. And yeah, many of my friends said, "Do you know what you're doing? You know, you could be biting off more than you can chew here. This is a Porsche." And I think my philosophy on it was one again that my father had always kind of put forward to me. A car is a car at the end of the day. You see, they might be designed slightly different, but they're all out there to do a job. They're designed to do a job, and all you've got to do, really, is try and get into the designer's head. If you can get into the designer's head, you can understand what's going on with the car. And I think that's another thing that's always sort of stayed with me, that my father's said. They're machines at the end of the day. They're not a car, they're not this. He said anything mechanical is a machine. And all machines are designed to do a job. And you just got to work out that design, really. So yeah, that gives you sort of some idea of where I am now and how I got here and the way I think. So, you know, I'm by no means a Google on Porsche. I certainly don't know everything there is to know about them. And I'm not, you know, I love the brand, of course I love the brand, but I'm not just a Porsche person. I love any kind of high performance, well-made cars. It's about the engineering, the quality of the engineering. I think the thing with supercars is that it is the best of the best. You know, you've got engineering taken to its limitations, and I love that. I enjoy seeing top quality engineering. So I hope you found that interesting, having a bit of an insight into myself. And I've probably now used up half the content I was going to put in May's blog, but there you go. Not James May, May the month of May blog. But yeah, there you go. So, you know, most of the stuff's self-taught. I'm very much a person of, you know, I'm a very down-to-earth person. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then you find something that does. It's as simple as that, really. So yeah, I hope this little insight was interesting for you. As always, massive thanks for following the channel and viewing. I just couldn't do it without you guys, and there wouldn't be a channel without you guys out there. So please like, please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe for future videos, and of course, you know, tell all your friends. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the Porsche night this month. I think I've got to work late on that particular date. I will be at Leeds Castle on the Sunday for their, as they now call it, their classic car show. I think that's the 7th of May. I'm not sure. I'll be there to about 3 PM, from about 10 to about 3 PM. If anyone wants to come along and meet up. I think Clive's going as well, so hopefully might be able to meet up with Clive there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, have fun, enjoy your cars, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.